Supreme Buddha looked at the world to see, is there someone who has a more concentrated mind than myself? What did he think? Yes, he looked at the world and he checked to see whether there's someone who has a more concentrated mind than him. Now what do you think? Do you think the Supreme Buddha found a person who had a more concentrated mind than the Blessed One? No, the Supreme Buddha couldn't find anyone who had a more concentrated mind than him. Then the Supreme Buddha scanned the whole world to see, is there someone who has more wisdom than me? What did he think? He thought, is there someone who has more wisdom than me? Now, did he find someone who had more wisdom? No. The Supreme Buddha couldn't find anyone who had more wisdom than him. So the Supreme Buddha realized there is no one in this world who is more virtuous than me. There is no one in this world who has a more concentrated mind than me. And there is no one in this world who has more wisdom than me. So then there is no one in this world who I can call to be my teacher. There is no one in this world who can teach me to perfect myself even more. And so at that time, the Supreme Buddha thought, still, even though there is no single person, it's still not good for me to be without a teacher. So he thought, then I must make this Dhamma my teacher. Now the Dhamma is the teaching the Supreme Buddha realized through his own wisdom, through his own knowledge. So at that time, the Supreme Buddha thought, then I'm going to make this Dhamma my teacher. So at that moment, meritorious children, on that 5th week, sitting under the goat herd's banyan tree, the Supreme Buddha made the Dhamma the Supreme Buddha's teacher. Meritorious children, that's how humble our great teacher was. He was humble enough to make the Dhamma that he realized himself the teacher. Because he thought it isn't good for someone to be without a teacher. It shows how humble our great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, is. So, meritorious children, that's how the 5th week was spent after enlightenment. So now, so far we have talked about the first 5 weeks. In the 6th week, something special happened. Now in the 6th week, the Supreme Buddha got up from the goat herd's banyan tree and he went up to a tree called the Muchalinda tree. Where did the Supreme Buddha go? The Supreme Buddha went to the Muchalinda tree and he sat under the foot of the tree and the Supreme Buddha spent that whole week sitting under the foot of the tree called the Muchalinda tree. Now, meritorious children, this tree was called the Muchalinda tree because there was a serpent king called Muchalinda staying around that tree. That's why that tree was called the Muchalinda tree. So now when the Supreme Buddha went and sat under that tree, the weather suddenly changed. There was an untimely shower. Now usually during that time, the area doesn't get any rain. But this was an untimely shower. And it started to shower very hard. And there was a cold storm going through the area. So it was very cold. Now, Serpent King Muchalinda saw that the Supreme Buddha was sitting under the tree and he's going to get wet and he's going to feel the cold winds. So the Serpent King felt very compassionate towards the Supreme Buddha and he thought, oh, this is a good opportunity for me to take care of the Supreme Buddha. So do you know what the Serpent King Muchalinda did? The Serpent King Muchalinda has very amazing powers. He's a very powerful serpent. And not only that, he's a very huge, long serpent. So this serpent king, Muchalinda, came to the Supreme Buddha, who was sitting under the Muchalinda tree, and he coiled himself up into 7 coils and put his hood on top of the Supreme Buddha's head, thinking, may this shower not affect the Supreme Buddha, may he not get wet, and may the Supreme Buddha be safe from these cold winds, may he not feel any cold or heat, and may mosquitoes and other insects not bother the Supreme Buddha. So with these compassionate thoughts, this serpent king Muchalinda coiled himself up around the Supreme Buddha and stayed there for the whole week. Now, meritorious children, do you think the Supreme Buddha got scared when a serpent king coiled around him? No. The Supreme Buddha didn't get scared, because the Supreme Buddha knows the serpent king is trying to take care of the Supreme Buddha. So the Supreme Buddha didn't get scared. So in this way, the Blessed One stayed without becoming wet, without feeling any cold. The Supreme Buddha spent that week sitting under that Muchalinda tree very comfortably. And so when the showers stopped, the Muchalinda serpent king saw that the rainy clouds were disappearing. So he realized that the rain is going to stop. So he slowly uncoiled himself without disturbing the Supreme Buddha, and he went to his side. Now remember, this is a very powerful serpent king. He has many different powers. These serpent kings, meritorious children, have very amazing powers. So this serpent king went to his side, and he appeared himself as a young boy and came in front of the Supreme Buddha and paid homage to the Supreme Buddha. Because if he appears in front of the Supreme Buddha as a snake, he cannot pay homage, he cannot worship the Supreme Buddha, right? So he took the appearance of a young boy and he came to the Supreme Buddha. He kneeled down on his knees with his hands palm to palm over his heart. He wholeheartedly worshipped the Supreme Buddha. And so, meritorious children, that's how the 6th week was spent. Where was the 6th week spent? The 6th week was spent at the Muchalinda tree. Now we have come to the final week, the 7th week after the Supreme Buddha's enlightenment. So, meritorious children, now we have come to the final week, the 7th week after the Supreme Buddha's enlightenment. Now, after staying the whole week at the Muchalinda tree, the Supreme Buddha went to another tree called the Rajayatana tree. What was the name of the tree? The name of the tree is called the Rajayatana tree. So the Supreme Buddha spent his 7th week sitting under the foot of the Rajayatana tree. Meritorious children, Supreme Buddha spent his final week, the whole week, sitting in one posture, in a single posture, in the meditation posture, reflecting on the amazing Dharma, enjoying the bliss of happiness throughout that week. Now, meritorious children, towards the end of the week, something very interesting happened. On the last day, the Supreme Buddha got up from his meditation posture and he decided that he wants to cleanse his face. That means he wanted to wash his face. Now, there was no water there. So, do you know who offered him water? It was the great Deva called the Great Sakra. It was a Deva who offered him all the things necessary for him to wash his face and freshen up. Now, meritorious children, if we look back, the Supreme Buddha spent 7 weeks, but the Supreme Buddha didn't have any food to eat, right? The Supreme Buddha spent the 7 weeks in the bliss of happiness, in the bliss of Nibbana. And so for the 7 weeks, the Supreme Buddha didn't have any food to eat. Now, meritorious children, how many days are in 1 week? 7 days. So the Supreme Buddha spent 49 days. 7 times 7 is 49. So the Supreme Buddha spent 49 days without having any food. Now, how do you think the Supreme Buddha survived for 49 days without any food? Now remember, do you remember how we talked about Lady Sujata? Remember how we talked about before the Supreme Buddha got enlightened, the Supreme Buddha was sitting under a banyan tree. And Lady Sujata came and offered an offering of milk rice to the Supreme Buddha. Do you remember? We learned about this previously. Now, when the Supreme Buddha got this offering, remember how the Supreme Buddha divided this milk rice into 49 portions. You must try to remember. At that time, the Supreme Buddha divided that milk rice offering that was very special, that was made specially for the Supreme Buddha, into 49 portions. Meritorious children, that was the last time that the Supreme Buddha took food. Right? That was the last time. From that moment onwards, until the Supreme Buddha became enlightened, the Supreme Buddha didn't take any food. Remember how he determined, how he threw his bowl away? And he determined that I'm not going to take any food until I become enlightened. So, meritorious children, those 49 portions of milk rice were the source of food for the Supreme Buddha for the 49 days after enlightenment. That's how the Supreme Buddha survived, from the nourishment of the amazing milk rice offering that Lady Sujata offered him. So, meritorious children, after the 7th week, after the 7th week, the Supreme Buddha got up, he cleansed his face, he washed his face, he brushed his teeth. And at that time, he got 2 visitors. How many visitors did he get? He got 2 visitors. Their names were Tapassu and Ballika. They were 2 merchants. What were the 2 names? Tapassu and Ballika. So they came from a very faraway region. They were going on a business trip. So while they were going on the business trip, a deva that was a blood relative of theirs, told them, friends, the Supreme Buddha is sitting under that tree called Rajayatana. And he just got enlightened. If you can, make an offering to him. And if you make the offering, it will be for your benefit. So that Deva invited the merchants to go and make an offering to the Supreme Buddha. So these 2 merchants, what were their names? Tapassu and Ballika. So these 2 merchants were very happy. So they went to the Supreme Buddha and they offered something very special. They offered popped rice kernels and honey. What did they offer? They offered popped rice kernels and honey to the Supreme Buddha. Now when they offered the food, the Supreme Buddha didn't have a bowl, didn't have an alms bowl to accept the offering. Remember, what happened to the Supreme Buddha's bowl? The Supreme Buddha threw the bowl into the river Neranjara, remember? And he determined, if I am to become the Buddha, if I'm going to become the Buddha, then may this bowl float upstream. So he threw the bowl into the river. So now he no longer has a bowl. He no longer has a bowl to accept the offering. Now at that time, the 4 great kings, the 4 Deva kings saw this, and they offered a bowl to the Supreme Buddha. So the Supreme Buddha took that bowl and he accepted the offering from the 2 merchants, Tapassu and Ballika. So he accepted the offering from the 2 merchants, Tapassu and Ballika. So the Supreme Buddha took the food and he ate the food. Now this was the first time after 49 days of the Supreme Buddha having food. So they collected a lot of merit by offering the Buddha the first meal after enlightenment. And then meritorious children, Tapassu and Ballika, paid homage. That means they worshipped the Supreme Buddha and they said, "Oh Venerable Sir, we are going to become your disciples." They said, "Oh Venerable Sir, we take refuge in you. We take refuge in the Dhamma you teach." In this way, meritorious children, Tapassu and Ballika became the first 2 disciples of the Supreme Buddha. They took refuge in the Supreme Buddha just like we do, and they took refuge in the Dhamma just like we do. Since there were no monks, that means since the Supreme Buddha didn't have any ordained disciples, there was no Sangha at that time. So Tapassu and Ballika only took refuge in the Supreme Buddha and the Dhamma. In this way, meritorious children, Tapassu and Ballika became the first 2 disciples, the lay disciples, to become the Supreme Buddha's disciples. So meritorious children, we have now talked about the first 7 weeks after the Supreme Buddha's enlightenment. These are the amazing ways the Supreme Buddha spent his first few weeks after enlightenment. So the first week, the Supreme Buddha stayed at the Bodhi tree. The second week, the Supreme Buddha paid gratitude to the Bodhi tree by gazing at the Bodhi tree. The third week, the Supreme Buddha spent doing walking meditation. The fourth week, the Blessed One spent in a gemstone house made by gods. And the fifth week, the Supreme Buddha spent in the goat herd's banyan tree, where the Mara came and tried to bother the Supreme Buddha, and how we talked about how the daughters came and tried to get the attention of the Supreme Buddha. And then the sixth week was spent at the Muchalinda tree, and we talked about how the Serpent King came and helped the Supreme Buddha. And the seventh week was spent at the Rajayatana tree, where the first 2 disciples, the first 2 lay disciples of the Supreme Buddha came to be. So meritorious children, that's how the Supreme Buddha spent his first 7 weeks after enlightenment. So in the next episode, we'll continue to learn about what happened after the first 7 weeks. So until we meet again, I bless you. May you have the opportunity to realize the Supreme Buddha's Dhamma in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo Buddhaya.